All right, well, I tried to live stream, but I have T-Mobile as my carrier, and T-Mobile sucks around here. Why do I keep it? Well, I tried to switch to AT&T. They mailed me the wrong SIM card, didn't fit my phone, and then they told me to get the right one I had to go to Keene, New Hampshire to an AT&T store, and I said, well, forget that. So, you know, I tried to switch over to AT&T because they have better coverage here, but their customer service was so inept from the get-go that I knew that would be a terrible idea. And I rarely use this device as a phone anyway, and most of the times when I am using it as a phone, I'm not in New England. You know, I'm on the road, I'm traveling. So anyway, as I started to explain in the live stream, a week ago tomorrow, last Wednesdays from the TV studio live stream that I do, somebody in the chat asked me if I had seen Adam Curtis's new documentary. It's from 2021. It's called Can't Get You Out of My Head. It has 6 parts. The last one is an hour and a half. And I did. I hadn't seen it at the time, but since then I have watched the entire 6 episodes, and I didn't just watch them because Adam Curtis documentaries they tend to be very dense, but also with long periods of no dialogue, no narration, just stock footage and music. But I have since watched it, and I didn't just watch it, I watched it with a notebook open in my lap, pausing frequently to write down notes, rewinding as necessary. And one of the major themes in the documentary is that humans, you know, in recent history, recent being like the last couple centuries, and also in the current context over the last couple decades, we get to points where our ideologies or our ideas or our notions about the world or our meta-narratives or, you know, whatever you want to call them, they are no longer serving us. They did not produce the results that we hoped for and were expecting. And we become confused, dispirited, demoralized. We don't know really what to do or what sort of story to appeal to. And in times like that, something that people have struck upon again and again is to create a fantasy version of their own culture's past and try to return to it. It's happened again and again, and Adam Curtis documents it, you know, in many contexts. But, you know, one of the effects of this demoralization and being dispirited is a sense of learned helplessness. But in the documentary, Adam Curtis, you know, he's telling a complicated story. He's telling it in a nonlinear fashion. He doesn't tell you in advance what the destination is. So it's pretty confusing. It requires a lot of attention. And then on top of it, a lot of the players, you know, whose actions he's documenting, they don't have Anglo names. You know, they're Chinese or they're Russian, or, you know, they're folks who live in the US or Britain, but they have names, you know, from other cultures, which is fine. But when he introduces a new person's name, he doesn't put their name on screen. And this is particularly difficult with, you know, with Chinese people. So regularly I would stop and I would, you know, I'd pause the video, I'd get out my phone, and I'd do a Google search using my voice, you know, to try to get the spelling of these people's names so I could have it right in my notes. So if in the future I ever go back to my notes and I want to look something up, you know, I've got a head start. So that practice added to the confusion and the sense of not necessarily hopelessness or despair, but, you know, the sense of being frustrated just trying to follow his narrative. And I started to watch Doug Lane's video on the series, and unlike Adam Curtis, Doug does jump to the end right away. So like 4 minutes into the video, he says, you know, and Adam Curtis's final point is, and then I just said, la, 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 stop my ears, stop the video. So I'll go back and watch that now that I've seen the whole thing. But, you know, of course, I'm watching this, and you know, he's talking about stuff that happened 50 years ago, 80 years ago, 100 years ago, but the series is gradually creeping toward the present. And there's a weird feeling every time the narrative switches from something that is historical to something that I remember from the news from the past couple of years. And of course, you know, it brings us to the 2016 election and how, you know, the indignation and incomprehension of the liberal intelligentsia regarding the election of Trump drove them to embrace conspiracy theories, you know, about Trump being a Russian agent and about mind control via social media. And I mean, you've just lived through the same past 4 years that I have. Maybe, you know, you are a CNBC or MSNBC watcher, and you still subscribe to all those notions. Like, you haven't yet disabused yourself of them, but you will over time. I mean, perhaps there's still somebody around who thinks that Joe McCarthy was just right, and that it was absolutely the right thing to do, to destroy the careers of people who refused to give up the names of people they knew who had expressed communist sympathies. You know, and if you're that kind of person, well, you're old, for one thing. And two, yeah, I mean, if you've latched on to the whole Donald Trump has been a Russian agent since the 80s narrative, yeah, you'll probably go to your grave with it, and, you know, whatever. But various thoughts occurred to me as I was watching it. One was just a very visual thing. You know, I have a TV that I got last year. It's a Roku TV, and it's from TCL. And I also have a sound bar and a subwoofer from TCL. Very affordable, very cheap. Here I am in rural New England. I mean, I'm in the big city of Bellows Falls, which has a population of like 2,500, something like that. But, you know, if we were to jump in a helicopter or take a drone up, you'd see that this is just a little, you know, little space of streets and buildings in a vast, vast countryside covered with what are right now mostly nude trees and some conifers. But most of the information that I get about the world, all the voices I hear, all the images I see, all the text I read, is coming to me either through this little phone that I have, you know, my Surface Pro or my laptop computer, or that new TV. And here's this very complex narrative from Adam Curtis, which, you know, I just finished the last one. It had 108,000 views already, and I don't think it's been up on YouTube that long. So a lot of people are taking it in. But it came into me through, it came to me, you know, through that TV, that TCL TV. And at one point, he's talking about the rising surveillance state in China. And there's an image of a police officer holding a TCL camcorder, a very small camcorder, and he's documenting protests that are taking place outside of the trial of a Chinese politician who had made his career trying to fight corruption and had been accused of corruption and eventually convicted of corruption. That guy's name, I'll put it up on screen here. It was one that it drove me crazy trying to figure out the spelling based on Adam Curtis just saying it aloud and never putting his name on screen. And in the whole series, he never put that guy's name on screen. But Chinese people had gathered outside the courtroom at his trial to complain about all the ways they had been abused by corruption and organized crime that had gone unchecked or was often taking place, you know, with the collusion of government officials. And there was a police officer in the crowd documenting who was there protesting, and the device that he was using, you know, was a small handheld camera that was made by TCL. So I froze the video and I took a picture of it. And it's a picture of, you know, what's on screen, but since I've paused, it's also telling you what video I'm watching. So it's, you can see it's an Adam Curtis documentary. You can see what episode it is. You can see how far into it I am. And then you can see outside the frame of the TV, you know, at the very bottom on the frame of the TV is the TCL logo. And then below that on the soundbar is the TCL logo. And then below that on the subwoofer is the TCL logo. So here I am depending on this window to the world provided to me in part by TCL, which is a Chinese company, which is beholden to the Chinese Communist Party, which must turn over any data they collect on me to the Chinese Communist Party. And here I am, you know, looking at all this, and I notice that on the screen, you know, again, it's labeled in text what I'm watching, but then below it, you can see how far into the video I am, because you can see the progress bar, and then below that you can see the panels of the videos that YouTube is recommending to me, so you can tell what YouTube, aka Google, thinks I'm interested in. And there's so much information conveyed in that one frame. I'll definitely put it up on screen here. Anyway, I have just walked to our, what is it called? Our Place drop-in center, where I can get some free food because, well, the month isn't over, but I'm out of money and there's no more money for groceries. So I am, I won't say dependent, but I am grateful for the opportunity to just walk over there and walk away with a free meal. And I'm going to do that right now. All right, talk to you soon.